Once you've completed the questionnaire and the Employee Census Data module, you will now have the opportunity to complete the Key and HCE Employee Verification module. As a reminder, you can at any time select the quick reference guide in the top right corner for a brief explanation as to what we're looking for in each of these modules. You can also select the 3 bars in the top left corner to go back to your home screen at any time. The first thing that we're going to look at in this module is the ownership relations. This is an important page because we want to make sure we are identifying any important relationships between the owners and employees within the company. The first thing we're going to look at is, does the ownership percentage equal 100%? If it doesn't, we want to make sure to select the additional owners and add them here with their percentage. If you have any non-employee owners, you're going to add them here. You would simply select Add the row, put in their last name, first name, social security number, and ownership percentage. In this case, we don't have any non-employee owners, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this row that I added. In looking at the ownership and reviewing, if I notice that Peter Parker has sold his shares and he's no longer an owner of the company, I can change my ownership percentages here. So what I would do is I would drop him to 0%. I would select the employee list and I would say, okay, so Clark Kent, Peter Parker sold his 10% of the business to Clark Kent. I'm going to go ahead and add that owner, and I'm going to put here that he's at 10%. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select Next Step. The next section of this module is owner relationships. It's important to note here that the relationships we're most worried about are spouses, grandparents, parents, and children of the employees with the owner. So we want to look at who is the owner and do they have any spouses, grandparents, parents, or children employed in the company. In looking at this page, we do see that Grumpy Dwarf, who is a 35% owner, has one family relationship. We're going to go ahead and double click on his name. And in doing that, it's going to pull up any relationships that he has in the company. Sometimes this does take a second, but if you do double click on it, it will come up. There we go. So you'll see here that Happy Dwarf is the child of Grumpy Dwarf. Now let's say Grumpy Dwarf had additional people that in the company that were employed that had a relationship with him. Let's say that we had Doc, and Doc is the owner's grandparent. We would go ahead and we would add them here. So we have Grumpy Dwarf, his grandparent works for the company, and he also has a child that works for the company. And we're going to go ahead and hit Submit Changes. You'll see here on the list now that Doc has been added as a relationship, but 0% owner. Grumpy, who's 35% owner, now has 2 relationships. You can click on Happy or Doc to see what their relationship is. So Happy is the child, so his parent is Grumpy. So that's how you can see what relationships we have on file. Now that we've reviewed and made sure that we have all of our relationships identified, we're going to go ahead and select Next Step. What's going to happen here is we are going to get a pop-up that is going to ask if we have any additional people that we want to add as relationships. So it's asking, do you have any possible additional relationships? And the reason that these are coming up is because we do have an owner with the last name of Dwarf, and there are other employees with the last name of Dwarf. So this is simply a double check in our system to make sure that no possible relationships were missed. In this case, we know that no possible relationships were missed, so we'll hit continue, and we'll move on to the next section of the module. The final section is the review and submit. On this page, you can sort using these little arrows that you see next to each of these columns. So if you wanted to bring the ownership percentage, all of the owners, to the top of the page, you would simply select the sort button here, and it would go ahead and bring them up. So it looks like the sort is here on the right side of each of the columns. Let's say you wanted to look at the current compensation and you wanted to make sure that you had all of your highly compensated employees identified, the people who had the highest income. Or if you wanted to make sure that nobody had a $0 compensation, this is where you would look. So you're going to use this page to simply review the information that has been put into the system to make sure that we haven't missed anyone. If you want to search by someone's name, you can type their name in here and find them directly. You can also simply go through each of the pages, or you can select next to go to the next page, or previous to go to the previous page. Once we've reviewed all of this information and confirmed that it is correct, we will go ahead and hit submit. This is by far the easiest of all of the 3 modules that we do have. Again, this is going to ask, do you want to confirm that this is the information? I do like to point out here that once you submit the information, you cannot resubmit. You can't go in and make changes. However, if you do realize that after the fact you have missed something or you entered something incorrectly, you can reach out to your relationship manager at any time and ask that they unlock the census package so you can go in and make any changes. I'm going to hit submit here, and it's going to take me to the final verification page. One of the things that I like to point out in this final verification page is it does say that we are going to send you an email that will have a survey in it. We do ask that you complete this survey because we really want to make sure that this new portal that we're using is meeting your needs as the client and is a positive experience for you as our relationship. You'll see here it says you will be sent a survey. You'll also notice that this thank you for completing is in green. This is telling you that it's all done. You can go back to your review year-end data collection, and you will see that each of these modules is complete. So you now have completed the year-end data collection process. We thank you for taking the time to listen to these videos, and if you have any questions, concerns, problems, always feel free to reach out to us. We are here to help. We want to make this as positive an experience for you as possible. Thank you for taking the time again, and have a great day.